All right, I think we're good. Welcome to the Bikini Things podcast, where we talk everything from fitness and competing to mental health and being the best version of ourselves. I'm your host, IFBBPro, Laura Morche, here with my co-host, IFBBPro, Sammy Joe. And we're so excited to have you here with us. So let's get started. How are you doing, Sammy?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm good. How does it feel to, I guess, officially be on peak week because you're competing next Friday?
Yeah, it was weird. I was at the gym this morning and I was like, yeah, my show is next Friday. And then I was like, oh, it's peak week. And I was like, that makes sense. And like, we were literally just talking before we hit record. Like, I don't know what it is about our bodies, our brains, or like what, but like the transition from day 8 to day 7, it's just like, okay, brain is shutting off and now we're in peak week. Like, nothing makes sense. So I feel really good. Don't get me wrong. So definitely like a little spacey here and there and clumsy as all. I feel like I'm more clumsy this like prep than I've ever been in my whole life.
Yeah. For me, my sign that I'm on prep is clumsiness. Like
Yeah.
I can usually maintain my mental faculties as best as possible with like a lot of caffeine, but I get super clumsy. I drop things constantly. Like that's like my signature on prep is just dropping things constantly.
Yeah. I was literally carrying a bowl of food, like a full bowl of food. And it was like a high carb day too. So it had like lettuce, rice, chicken. I had onions in there, avocado. I was walking up the steps, like walking up the stairs of my house. My dog was like walking next to me. And I don't know if I tripped or the dog nudged me. I'm going to blame it on the dog. But I literally dropped like a whole bowl of food on the carpet
Oh
on the
no.
stairs. And I literally just had to walk away. I was like,
Oh.
I just need to remove myself for a minute. Because it's like, what happened? And I was like, I need a minute. I don't want to talk about it. And then I cleaned it up
Yeah.
and then I remade my meal. And I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like,
Yeah.
we're going to blame it on the dog. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I've definitely done that multiple times, not on prep as well. My office is upstairs, right? Yours is too, right?
Upstairs. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I constantly will spill coffee or like trip and drop my food. And Rafa always freaks out because that's how I sprained my ankle a few years ago, was on the
Oh,
stairs.
geez.
So she's always like, Laura. I'm like, I'm okay.
It's the food, not me.
Yeah. Or what I've done too, I can't remember if these are in prep or not. I think one of them was in prep. One time I had one of those giant bottles of hot sauce. I think it's like that Valencia brand you can get at the
Uh-huh.
grocery store. I got it at a grocery outlet and it was like this big for like $3. Dropped it on the tile floor in the kitchen, shatters, just hot sauce. Yep. Just
Everywhere. And
everywhere.
you have
Yep.
don't you have like white cabinets and stuff too?
Yeah. So it was okay. The other one too, another one. What happened? I had a glass canister of chia seeds. Love chia seeds. They're a superfood. You got your fiber, your omega-3s. Yeah, Sammy, you know where this is going. I think I accidentally just tapped, like not even super hard, the bottom of the container on the edge of the counter, and the bottom circle just falls out. And I'm like, and they're just everywhere. They're just all over the floor. They're up in the cabinet, like the spinny cabinet you can have for your breakfast cereals or rice or whatever. Like they're just everywhere. I mean, little tiny chia seeds. I'm still constantly trying to clean the inside of that
Find
cabinet
them.
because it's
Oh
like,
my God.
you know, they're way back there and it's spinny, so it's like very hard to reach
Yeah.
certain like nooks and crannies. So I just feel like I'm constantly finding random chia seeds in the kitchen.
That's insane. I literally
Yeah.
I have like a plastic container, so now I'm just scared every time I grab like the chia seeds, I'm gonna be
Yeah, plastic is
terrified.
probably
It's
better.
plastic, but still, I'm
I think
like,
what I've
I'll
learned
find
is
a way to bust it.
yeah, I think what I learned in that is no glass canisters.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what else is going on? Are you excited for the show when you guys leave?
I am very excited. So this one, we leave on Wednesday. Check-ins are Thursday and I compete Friday. And then this trip is like pretty big because we're going straight from Texas to Nashville. So I compete
Right.
Saturday in Dallas and then I compete Friday in Dallas. And then on Saturday, we fly straight to Nashville. It just made more sense because we're halfway out there already. There was no point in flying home, literally taking 2 days to repack and cook my food again, and then fly back out. And then risk like time in the air, water retention, all of that stuff. So more stress on my body. So we're just flying straight there. We got an Airbnb. So typically I'm a very last minute packer when it's like vacations and stuff like that. But this one, because we're gone for literally a week and a half, I've like already have a packing list. Like I did that on cardio today. I literally had like a notepad on my phone and just like wrote out everything I needed. I'm like slowly adding things to my Amazon cart. I have like a Target grocery shopping list to do before I leave. So I'm just like trying to be pre-prepared, and then like remembering that like Instacart is a thing. And then when I get to Nashville, we're going to be grocery shopping there and cooking in the Airbnb. So that like mitigates what I have to pack. And to just keeping it simple. Like we talked in the last podcast with Sam, it's like when you try to overcomplicate things and overdo it and like stress out about it, it's like keeping it simple. What do I need? What can I purchase there?
Mm-hmm.
And is something else that I'm trying to bring just going to be extra? Is it even necessary? And then reminding myself, like, I'm still like, I'm going to Dallas and Nashville, very highly populated cities. They have Targets, they have grocery stores. If I forget something.
Yeah. They also have, guess what, Sammy? They also have Amazon Prime. Like you can Amazon Prime things to your hotel room. So our episode is on something completely different, but this is a great point, and I do want to touch on this because I have 2 clients competing out of state tomorrow while we're doing our posing seminar. So unfortunately, I can't be with either of them. And last night we're kind of going through the plans for today, for tomorrow, and I'm realizing that even though they have their stuff and they're not too far from home, and one of them staying with family members, like some of these simple things like kind of escape them, or they just don't know yet. So number one, Amazon Prime exists basically everywhere in the continental US. So if you forget something, you can go in there, search overnight delivery. Like when I went to the Mile High Pro show a couple months back, I realized I forgot my computer charger, Sammy. And like I had check-ins to do, I had work to do that weekend, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm so dumb. I forgot my freaking laptop charger. Like, and luckily it was pretty well charged, so I got what I needed done. But I Amazon Primed another charger to the hotel, and it got there overnight. So, or actually, I think it was even same day delivery. Like I got in on Friday and I had a same day delivery because it's in Denver. So don't forget you have Amazon Prime. The other thing too, if you get one of those little plug-in cook skillets, and we can probably do a whole nother episode, which I owe you yours. So
I bought one, so it's okay. I didn't know if I was going to see you before I left, so I just bought one.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we could do a giveaway, or I'll give it to one of my clients or something.
Yeah, totally fine.
Or maybe we could give it away at the posing seminar. That'd be fun.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I'll do that. But anyway, so if you have a plug-in cook skillet, and I will include the Amazon link in the episode description, you can literally cook food in any hotel room. It's literally, think of a electric frying pan that plugs into a wall instead of sitting on a stove top, and it heats up and it will cook your food. So you do that, you Instacart your groceries, or you go take an Uber and go to a grocery store. Either one works, and you're all set. Like even if you run out of food, your coach is carving you up like crazy. I've had this where I have multiple shows where I've literally run out of food because I was eating so much more than I anticipated. You know, sometimes that happens. So if you have those 2 things, you are like good to go. If you have a little travel tripod as well, because your coach, most likely, they're not with you, they're going to be asking for check-ins, they're going to be asking for photos, asking for videos, or they're going to be asking to FaceTime you to pose you. And if you don't have a little travel tripod, how are you expected to have them see you or get your check-in photos? Like you can't rely on your family members. I had a client at Masters Nationals where she was having her coach, I was her posing coach, hold the phone while I'm posing with her. And it's like, that's just, not only is it not super stable, but it's like extra headache, extra coordination, because you need that external person to help you. So some of these travel basics are just so helpful for stress and being on top of your shit when you're competing.
Yeah. And 2, I literally like the last, when I was packing and things like that for Patriots, I did a full like story on everything I was packing. So I'm going to add that to my highlights on Instagram. But also what I'm going to do is film a YouTube video, since I'm like I'm trying to do everything so ahead of time that it's not last minute. So I can actually record a YouTube video of like what I pack in terms of like cosmetics, show day things, and food, so that I have that just as like a forever video on YouTube. So everyone can keep an eye out for that too.
Yeah. Oh, I want to do that one with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be really fun.
Let me know. I'll probably do it
this week when you're packing. Okay. Yeah. Let's
keep you posted.
Let's coordinate. That'd be cool. Because I bet we'll have a lot of things in common, but also things different too. And then I can steal your idea and have that same video for YouTube forever. Yeah.
And then, I mean, I'm sure I'll learn some things that I'm totally forgetting.
Yeah. Do you have a packing list?
Yeah, I have it on my phone.
Okay, cool. Yeah, me too. We can compare, contrast. Okay, perfect. Cool. Well, I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for you to do the show. Thanks. I also still need your suit details, so you need to send me a little secret photo or something.
I will literally do it right now before I forget, because we all know I will.
So our topic today, ladies, is going to be everything show glam, and Sammy and I are super excited to talk about this. Show day glam obviously includes the suit. We're not going to go as heavy into the suit details just because we've done full episodes. There are multiple past episodes with us interviewing Margaret from Toxic Angel Bikini, so we've covered suits a good amount. If you need the suit content, we'll touch on it, but there's a lot more there. But we're going to talk about things like our hair and makeup, our tanning, and how to prep your skin. Some of those little details like our nails, our pedicure, our teeth whitening, getting our eyebrows waxed, our eyelashes, like all those other things that go into looking like a beautiful bikini goddess on stage. So we're very excited to talk about this. This is such a fun part of competing. So I would say, Sammy, where do you want to jump in? Should we start with like hair makeup? Is that the best place to start?
Let's start with the prep. And we'll kind of lead into show day. So the little scheduling things.
Yeah. So the appointments and things.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good start. And then we can kind of lead us into show day that way.
Perfect. So I'm going to check my phone and see if this came through. What appointments and things do you do like peak week or leading up to? Ooh, okay. Okay.
Isn't you told me about so this. Pretty?
Yeah, it is. You told me about this one. Okay, I forgot. Yeah, I'm so excited.
But yeah, in terms of appointments and scheduling, I'll touch on waxing. I don't get wax, I shave. That's just my preference. But I would suggest if you are a girly that gets waxed, doing that in the beginning of the week, a couple days prior to getting your tan applied, or applying your tan, even if you do it yourself. That's going to be super beneficial. That's going to allow your skin time to heal and soothe. So you're not putting tan on pretty much an open wound. If you think of it like that.
Yeah. Also, as an aside for tanning, if you're someone who does not, or not tanning, waxing, if you do not wax, do not get a wax for the first time peak week. That is a recipe for disaster. Your skin could have a reaction, and then you will likely be inflamed and just hoping for the best going into your show. So never ever make a peak week your first time waxing.
Yes, 100%. And to kind of go into that part a little bit more. So for me, I'm Italian. I have thick hair. It is what it is. I've accepted it. It is my life. I've paid money to get laser hair removal, and you would have never thought that I got laser hair removal. So that's just my life. So I always tell girls what I do and what works best for me. And, it's not ideal. Say it's gross, whatever. I literally will go 3 to 4 days without shaving. So I'm basically growing my hair out. And then the night before or the morning of, depending on what time my tan is, I'll shave that day, so that it's a closer shave and closer to my tan. And then I'll use a shaving cream, or they have that coochie cream, that kind of stuff. Or sometimes I'll just use conditioner. If I'm in the hotel and I don't have anything with me.
Yeah.
Something that just softens the hair. And then I'll use a 5 or 6 blade razor. Sometimes I'll use a men's razor, or I'll just use I use Venus. For a super close, super smooth shave.
Yeah.
And I'll do that for my legs too. Like I won't shave my whole entire body. Like I shave my arms, my armpit, my bikini, my stomach, and my legs. I even shave my glutes.
Oh yeah, you should shave the glutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much everything. Like I think
Everything,
the only thing
everything
I don't shave
except
is my back.
everything except your back, because really, like, we're not showing that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So I pretty much shave literally everything the night before or the morning of. And then yeah, I feel like letting it grow out a little bit more for me personally allows me a closer shave. And then the more blades you have on your razor, the cleaner and smoother of a shave you're going to get to.
Yeah. So I do basically the same thing as you with some small tweaks. So I agree. I do think it is a good idea to wait a few days to shave. You don't want like 5 o'clock shadow type hair when you're going into your show day shave, because it's not going to be a really good clean shave. So if you have a few days of growth, that's good. And then I usually, if it's a Saturday show, I typically will shave Thursday night before the Friday tan, but I do a little touch up. Like when I shower first thing, I always like to shower first thing Friday morning. So I have many hours between your skin being in chlorinated water. So think about that too. When you shower, the water is chlorinated, and that's nationwide for bacterial and cleanliness, etc. So that on your skin can affect the tan. So I always like to shave or, shower early in the morning, do a quick check, because I am freaking 6 feet tall. I have so much surface area. My shave takes freaking forever. It takes so long. It takes like an hour. Like, it's so long. And so I usually do Thursday night, and then I like to do a little touch up Friday morning. That's usually what I recommend for clients too, is like, you might realize, oh my gosh, I missed the entire backside of my arm, or like, oops, I didn't really get like my, thighs that close, or or oh, I did forget to shave my glutes. And like, even if you have little baby hairs, you want to shave that, because that's going to add texture that makes it harder for the tan to absorb. Your skin's not going to look as smooth. I also use men's razors, but I always use men's razors when I shave. Like, I just prefer them. At this point, my body's adopted to them. So even the Venus razors like do literally nothing for me. So I really recommend, I'll get like the 3 or Chic Quattro or 4, whatever it is, men's razors at the drugstore. And that's what I use. I'll use, if possible, not a brand new, but like an almost brand new razor, so I don't cut myself. Those are the basics. And then I also think during your peak week, you should be exfoliating your skin gently and hydrating your skin really well by using a very gentle, kind of pH balanced lotion every day. I will also keep in my lipoxyderm all the way through peak week as well. So I'll usually use like maybe lipoxyderm in the morning after I shower, and then at night, maybe like a secondary like lotion or something. So I like to moisturize twice a day during peak week, because you do want your skin really nice and hydrated and beautiful. So that way the quality of it looks amazing with the tan. What are some of the other like prep appointments and things that you do leading up to the show, Sammy?
2 things I just want to touch on from what you just said. For exfoliator, I use the Get Buffed by Protan. I think that's a great brand. And then a lotion that I highly suggest is Neutrogena Hydra Boost, because it has hyaluronic acid in it. It's a great lotion. And then another thing, after shaving, put loose clothes on, especially in your bikini area. I've noticed for me personally, when I shave and then if I put like tight underwear on, in the crease of like my thighs is where I start to get razor burn, because of the friction of like the freshly shaved skin against clothing. I get the friction causes razor burn. So just another like little tip that I've learned over time. Like, I'll always put baggy clothes on after shaving to avoid the friction and the razor burn.
Good call. Good call.
Yeah. Other appointments, I would say, for me is definitely going to be nails and toes. Clearly you can see that I haven't gotten my nails done yet.
Yeah. What are your go-to or recommended like colors and styles for that, for nails and toes?
I always do something simple. Like, I'll just do like a French tip. You can't really see because my light is so bright. Just like a French tip, an ombre, nudish colors. Sometimes I'll do like a little bit of glitter on the ring finger, nothing too distracting. I know a lot of girls try to like match the color of their suit to their nails. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that, but I don't recommend it, right? Something just classy, simple. You want all of the attention on your physique and on your suit and on your stage presentation. If you have bright blue nails or fiery red nails or like neon yellow nails, like that's where the attention is going to be focused on. So I would suggest just doing something simple, classy, sleek. And then same for toes, like a French tip or white. You can't go wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I'm not crazy about nails that match the suit. I think if you do red, maybe you could pull that off because red is just a kind of a classic nail color in general.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm not really a fan of nails that match the suit. I agree. I think something soft, pretty are like soft pinks, nudes, whites, somewhat metallic, like you've got kind of like the chrome with the white finish, like
Mm-hmm.
donut look, the, soft silver, a soft gold, some glitter in one of those neutral colors. French tip always looks great, always looks classy. So those are some just general guidelines. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be anything wild. You can do acrylics, like you can go to the nail salon. You could do glue-on nails too. I would recommend if you're going to do glue-ons, I would recommend doing them the morning of. I'm someone who's worn glue-ons for years
Mm-hmm.
because they're so time convenient and they're cheap and they look great when you know how to do them. But they do come off. Like they typically, like a set usually lasts a week tops. So I would do them if I were to do them for a show, I would want to do them the morning of. So they're nice and like super glued. You're not worried about them getting damaged that day. Yeah. What else? I always do teeth whitening. I think I always try to check that my eyebrows are okay. Are there other appointments that
Yeah.
you usually get, Sammy, leading up to the peak week or leading up to the show?
Because of my hair and extensions, I always go and get a blowout. Just to kind of mitigate that extra stress on myself. And this might just be me being meticulous. But I feel like with my hair and my extensions, A, because of the color, and B, just because I have so much hair because of extensions, washing it and blow drying it is just such a pain. If I don't like any other time, I would just like wash and air dry my hair. But sometimes then if I don't wash the conditioner out, then it gets greasy and just mitigating all of that extra guesswork. I'll usually go and get a blowout before, and then that way my hair's just like nice, fresh, and clean. And then all I have to do is worry about curling it or however I wear it for the show. I would highly suggest not changing your hair color too close to your show. If we're talking about like coloring, because A, you don't know how it's going to turn out. B, you don't want like dye on your skin before your show, like if it's not going to come off.
Mm-hmm.
Or like using a new hairdresser before a
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, good point. I think the main thing, I agree with you. I think the main thing there is if you've picked out your suit color based on a certain hair color, you need to think that through before you just change your hair color. Like if all of a sudden you go from brunette to auburn and now your hair is really warm and has like more orange and more red tones in it, or if you go from chestnut brown to like platinum blonde or getting a balayage, it's a way different look and the suit color you have may not pop as well with that new
Yeah.
hair color. Like one time I had a gal who did end up changing her hair to like a reddish color after her suit color had been selected and it did not look the same way as when she was like blonde.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to be kind of thoughtful. That's the main thing. But you're right too. Like for me when I get my hair dyed, it's very dark color, so I can have like things left on my forehead. So obviously, yeah, you wouldn't want that in your peak week or something.
Yeah. And two,
So
it's just like a nice little pamper. Like, who doesn't want to get their head washed, right? Just like an extra scrub and massage. Like, it just
yeah,
feels good. One less
yeah.
thing
Oh,
you have to worry about.
I love getting blowouts. It's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why
Um,
don't we shift gear to hair makeup? There's so much I think we can touch on there.
yeah.
And we've got some fun pages pulled up to show you guys some reference photos for that, as well as tanning and how the different colors can vary.
Okay, so let's start with hair and makeup. So this is V the makeup artist. She is very well known in the industry. She's who I used for a handful of my shows. Absolutely love her. She has a team. So you can book on her website, you can book her specifically, or you can book someone on her team.
Mm-hmm.
And then she has kind of like a list of all of the show dates that she's, competing or she's going to be at. What's nice about it too is if you have, and I just had to do this for Texas and Nashville because I had 2 shows back to back, I was able to like purchase both in one.
Mm-hmm.
Super small
Yeah.
detail, but like, if you have multiple shows coming up and you just want to get everything booked and kind of, check all the boxes, you can just add like, I'm doing this show, this show, this show, and this show, and then, check
Mm-hmm.
out and you're all done.
Nice. Yeah, scroll down a little. Yeah, she's in so many top pros, so many Olympians makeup. So we've got Francielli, Amy Delgado, Brooke Gillespie, I'm seeing Malou, Tara, V herself. So there's so many pretty
Yeah.
looks. And you'll notice, I think she's kind of known for like a signature kind of like pink eye. That's become really popular.
Yeah.
So you'll see a lot of the makeup looks have like more of like a pink eyeshadow look too.
Yeah. Just very classy and like, think too, like, I feel like a lot of girls are always so curious, like, what is the best eyeshadow color for my suit? That's another thing, like girls trying to match their eyeshadow to their suit. Think of like I don't want to say a natural soft glam, but something like neutral tones, right? Like regardless of what your
Mhm.
suit color is, you can't go wrong with a neutral toned eyeshadow. Pinks, you know, like tans, champagnes, those kinds of things just naturally pop and look really well on stage and pop with different eye colors. Whether you have blue eyes, green eyes, brown eyes, like those neutral soft colors are always going to look good on stage.
Mhm.
Regardless.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's always like a big question that I see people asking, like, what makeup should I get? And the great thing about V2 is like, she obviously has a portfolio on her page. So
Mhm.
if you're booking with her, go on her Instagram, screenshot work that she's done in the past and show her like, hey, this is my inspo. You can't go wrong with giving the person who's doing your makeup a photo of makeup they've done. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it's like, obviously they did it. They know how they did it. It's not like them going off of someone else's work. I
Mhm.
know the first time I went to V, I showed her LauraIFBBPro's makeup and she was like, oh,
Mhm.
I remember that. Boom. And it like almost was like 1-for-1 identical. And I was like, like super
Yeah.
excited. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's always nice to just give someone like inspo from work they've already done.
Yeah, well, it makes it very easy because you might communicate something of like, "Oh, I want, this type of look," or I want soft glam. Well, soft glam to you might mean something completely different to a makeup artist. So, having photos is really good because then it's very clear what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, V did my makeup for Tahoe last year and I loved it. Like my hair makeup came out so good. I know we've got a few other examples too, Sammy. Why don't we like pop over and just show a few different ones? Because we have V's amazing. There's also a lot of talented makeup artists
Yeah.
in the industry. So it's like if she or her team are not at your show, don't despair. There's so many good places or good makeup companies you can work with too.
Yeah. And remember too, all of these companies they're in the industry, right? So they understand what the industry standard is for stage makeup.
Hmm.
Stage makeup is not your daily makeup. Maybe it is. Maybe you know, get fully glammed every single day, to each their own. You know, that's great. But like, they understand what's needed on stage for your presentation to pop, for your makeup to pop. So it's like, you don't have to explain what the expectation is because they already get it. So this is going to be Nancy J. She is with Tan Masters, correct?
Yeah. Well, Nancy is like one of the OGs in terms of makeup. I would put her and Elaine Goodlad in that category, where they've been doing makeup of like the top pros since Bikini probably started. Elaine was actually a top figure pro back in the day. So for example, like they did a lot of Angelica, Laura Lee's, Janet's makeup when those were some of the top athletes in the industry. And yeah, so she's based in California. So she'll even do like some of those photos of Candice Algundi there. She'll do, you know, photo shoot makeup. They'll do, her and Elaine will do a lot of the photo shoot makeup and hair for like the NPC News Online photo shoots, for example, that they have after the Olympia or the Arnold or Pittsburgh Pro and things like that. So I love, you know, Nancy, she's super convenient to us here in Southern California. So she did my makeup last, I think, at the Pacific USA. Or no, she did it for Iron Games last year. She did it for Iron Games.
Okay.
Yeah, when I did the red. And then Pacific USA is the year before. So you can kind of see too, between her and V, there are some differences. I would say her looks tend to be a little bit more neutral colored. But yeah, there's so many amazing artists you can work with.
Yeah. And then we have one other one. LeBeau is another industry standard. And again, too, you have to remember, like, if you're not sure who to go with, again, their Instagrams are basically their portfolios. Their websites are going to have what shows they're at. And two, most of your shows are going to have their, like, recommended or like sponsored makeup artists, things like that. And most of these makeup artists do hair and makeup. So it's kind of a one-stop shop if you're needing someone to do hair as well. I feel like a lot of these ladies that are in these photos utilize them for hair and makeup, since you can kind of just get both done at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got some super pretty looks. Yeah, so we've got Masa on their page as well as we had her on V's page. I see Jordan Fisher, India Paulino. So these are really like top pros, top Olympians. And maybe we can keep one of these pages pulled up or not. Maybe we can talk about, like, you mentioned some do's and don'ts. I have a few more for the makeup, but we could talk about hair as well. Like some of the other things I would say for makeup to keep in mind, because sometimes too, maybe we do it ourselves, right? So we might have people listening who are thinking like, oh, I'm going to do this myself. Like, how do I recreate this? So on top of not matching your suit color to your eye makeup, which I think is a no-no, I also personally, this is just my personal opinion, doesn't mean you have to agree with me, I do not like silvery, like black smoky eyes and like overly black smoky eyes. Like silver and black smoky eye to me looks like 90s porn makeup. So I don't think that looks good for stage. I think you know what I'm talking about though, right?
Yes.
Like the super contrasted silver and then black that was very popular. And then like, you know, pink lip or kind of whatever went with that. Just it doesn't look very classy or very sophisticated, I think. So in lieu of that, smoky eyes look amazing. Like you can see basically every single athlete has some type of a smoky eye. It's just that they're using other colors. And I personally think that the neutrals, the golds, the bronzes, the brown tones, the taupes, like those are always going to look more sophisticated than silver and black, which kind of gives like the Jenna Jameson vibe or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, you've got to be careful. A makeup artist who does stage makeup will know this, but let's say you're doing it yourself or you're having a friend or a family member help you. You should not be using any highlighter or any reflective products on your face. And the reason why is the stage lights are so freaking strong that we need our spray tan. We need, you know, a full beat, full face of makeup to keep our facial features, to keep our definition. So if you wear a highlighter or something reflective, that light is going to bounce off your face and make you look shiny like a strobe light. So you don't really want any highlighter. If you do, I think maybe if you did like a little dab on your nose or like your Cupid's bow or something, like a tiny bit, that would be okay. Or like the inside of your eyes perhaps. But like nothing on your cheeks, nothing extreme. And also too, if you're using like a bronzer, powder, contour, you don't want that powder to have like reflective qualities to it. You don't want your blush to be reflective. You want it to all be very matte. So that way, again, you're not reflecting the stage lights when you're up there. It's gonna look very weird. You're gonna look like Mr. Roboto or whatever.
And to like think your suit is sparkly, your connectors are sparkly. You don't need to be sparkly. Like your face doesn't need to be sparkly too. So like definitely a matte finish. And you can kind of see that. Like some of these girls have very slight highlight on their nose, just as a slight little contour, but like otherwise it's very matte. Like the finish is matte.
Especially with that natural lighting, you can see how matte her makeup is, like the cheek color, the eye color, her skin. Like there's no reflective anything there. Doesn't even really look like she has highlighter on the bridge of her nose or anything, maybe just on the inside of her eyes. So yeah, you want to be very careful with that. And again, any well qualified makeup artist who does stage makeup will know that. So you'll be in good hands if you hire a professional.
Yeah.
How about the hair, Sammy? What would you say as far as the hair? Because we can see there are so many different styles. So what are some basic guidelines people could follow for that?
Yeah, I would say doing something that works best for you and your hair type, right? Show day is not going to be a day where you experiment with a new hairstyle. You're not going to use a waver for the first time on show day. Like what looks best for you, what really gives you like a complete look. If you're used to having naturally curly hair, are you going on stage with your natural curls? Is it maintained? Is it, presentable? If you are going to use your natural curls and kind of utilizing your natural beauty in that sense, I think that's absolutely amazing. But making sure, like, if you're prone to frizzy hair, you're using hair oils and things like that to kind of keep everything maintained in like in nice form, essentially. If straight hair is what you're used to, then utilizing and just keeping that. So it's like whatever you're most comfortable and confident with. And then especially too, if you're someone who has short hair and you're using extensions, make sure you put your extensions in before your show. Go to your hairdresser and get them blended. Please, for the love of God, get your hair blended to your extensions before you step on stage, because there is a solid 5 to 10 second period where your back is facing the judges and we see your hair, and that is very distracting.
Do you mean for sewn-ins or for clip-ins, Sammy?
I mean, if you're wearing sew-in extensions, they should already be blended. So I guess that's more so for clip-ins or like a halo, something that you're putting in last minute, right? So like naturally, if someone's getting sewn-in extensions, your hairdresser should be blending them, so you're walking around naturally with blended hair. But I would say more so for clip-ins or like a halo, something like that. Put them in first. See how your hair looks. Make sure that the placement of your extensions, if you are doing a clip-in or a halo, isn't visible. Because again, we're on stage, we're talking about the full package. We don't want to see the clip-ins while we're on stage. We don't want to see, the halo track while we're on stage. And we want everything to just be nice and blended. Especially in our back pose, that's kind of like what you're seeing.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you style your hair straight, it's going to be super obvious if it's not blended. Curls, you can kind of get away with it, especially if you generally have like long hair and it's going to be styled by a makeup artist or hairstylist. So yeah, the other thing too with the hair, I agree with you. You should go with your hair's natural texture. So for example, if your hair does not hold curl well, it's likely that your hair is not going to look the best if you try to curl it, especially if you do it yourself. If you do it with a makeup artist, maybe it will come out better, but most likely it will fall by the end of the day, especially if you've got one of these 4 a.m., 5 a.m. hair and makeup appointments. So in those cases, you might want to consider, okay, how could I rock my straight hair? Maybe I do still need clip-ins to give me some more fullness or volume or whatever that is. And if you've got curly hair, and you want it completely straight, that might mean, like for me, what I learned at the Clash last year in South Carolina is I absolutely need a blowout before shows in humid environments, but probably before each show. Like I think I just have to do that. My hair is very frizzy. It has a mind of its own. So in that climate, my hair looked like hot garbage. It was bad. So going with your hair texture, something, and I would just describe the show day hair too as something styled and neat, but not so voluminous, not so pageant-y. No updos for bikini or wellness. You should be wearing your hair down if you're figure, women's physique, fitness. I think you could absolutely wear your hair up if you want it or style it up in an updo. Women's bodybuilding, the same thing. You could do updo or down. Um, but I feel like it should just kind of look like you're going on like a hot date or you've got a photo shoot or you're going to like a friend's wedding, just something like really pretty, but obviously like very nicely done, very well styled, very like just polished looking. But nothing too big. Like if the hair starts getting big, it can be too much. It can be a little too over the top.
Distracting. Yeah, 100%.
Like you'll notice if we just kind of scroll back through this page, or if we go back through Nancy or V's page, you'll notice like all of these ladies, like this one's with straight hair, they have got like sleek, smooth hair. Those with curls are not like overly big. Not, there's not too much volume at the top. It's like maybe a little bit of volume or like a side part and then sleeker at the top. And obviously too, you have girls like Jen Dory or Jordan and stuff. They rock their natural texture, which also looks amazing. So it's also really about choosing a style that you feel really confident with. Like what are you gonna rock that's gonna make you feel the most beautiful?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's good for hair and makeup. That's pretty much the rundown. And to like one last thing, if you are doing it yourself, trial runs, practice before, make sure you give yourself plenty of time on show day to do your own hair and makeup if that is the case. Making sure you're matching you should be if you are doing your makeup yourself, you should be one shade lighter than your tan, correct?
Yes.
1 to 2 shades
So
lighter than your tan.
So if you match your foundation to your first coat of tan, that's usually good because then you get your second coat.
Yeah. So just go ahead.
I was just gonna say the colors that work well are MAC NW40, MAC NW45, and as a little hack, you don't necessarily have to buy those. Those are great foundations. Obviously, MAC is amazing, but you could always go to your local Ulta, grab those colors, and then walk over to the Maybelline or CoverGirl section and match those shades. But those are two specific shades that work really well with the tan, especially Pro Tan, is what I've learned over the years doing makeup sometimes for myself. So those are
yeah. But yeah, so just practice, and then give yourself ample amount of time on show day so that you're not rushing or stressing out, because that is going to be your makeup is going to be a huge factor in your presentation, hair and makeup in general.
Oh yeah. So what else do I have left to talk about? Jewelry. Suits. Yeah, let's talk about jewelry. That's a fun one.
Yeah. So would you say, Laura, jewelry is mandatory on stage?
Yeah. I mean, I would say if you had an emergency and you like break all your jewelry or you forget it, what I would recommend is making buddies with your friends backstage, because guaranteed someone has some extra pieces. It doesn't look like a complete look for bikini or wellness if you don't. And even for the other divisions, like even women's bodybuilding, women's physique, they all have jewelry. So it's like we have these sparkly bright suits and the jewelry just kind of complements the rhinestones and the other sparkles that we're wearing. So I really think that you, at a minimum, what I always say is minimum, you need a set of earrings and you need at least one bracelet. But most of us, we're going to wear probably 2 bracelets, something like a ring if you want, or 1 ring per each hand is optional. But that's as much jewelry as I would wear. You don't need more than that. I don't even do 2 rings. I usually do 1 just for the heck of it. What are some other guidelines you would give for jewelry, Sammy?
I would say like the sizing of the jewelry is going to be super important too. Like when you're selecting your earring size, like also keep in mind how you're going to be wearing your hair. Obviously if you're wearing your hair straight, or if you're wearing your hair curled, making sure that, the length of the earring is not going to get tangled into your hair or your suit. I found that out the hard way. I think it was like my nationals run last year. My earrings were too long. So when I hit my glute pop, my earring literally got snagged in the top connector of my suit. Thankfully, like it just pulled off really easily. Or that probably would have been a disaster. Um, but yeah, like the length of your earrings is going to be super important. And I would just say like the style and design too, making sure that it's not something too simple to where it gets lost behind your hair, but that it's not too over dramatic to where it's like, I don't want to use the word obnoxious, but like distracting, I guess you can say.
Yeah, you don't want it too big. You don't want it too big. You definitely don't want it touching your suit or your shoulders. At the same time, you don't want it too small. You want it to at least be like kind of visible that you have earrings on. So again, it sounds silly, but also the taller a person you are, the longer an earring you can wear. So for me, something that would work for a 4'10" athlete that's like this, for me, I probably need something that's actually a little longer that maybe comes down like that. So the cool thing is Body Bling, I love to support her. The owner's name is Bao. She's here in Southern California. She is the sister of Tracy, who runs OCD Cookie Company. So don't we love supporting our women-owned small businesses?
Yes.
She will style you. She'll help style you if you DM her on Instagram. She has a ton of options. And the cool thing is these websites, and there are other websites too that have it, like the Shoe Fair, I believe, has some jewelry as well, like a couple pieces, but they typically have the dimension. So you can literally, like, it'll say, okay, the earring is this long. You can take a ruler, hold it up to your ear, double check, sanity check that it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing that I would recommend with bikini wellness, although there are some caveats that we'll talk about, is in general, especially for bikini, I do not recommend colored jewelry. For wellness, I think you can be a little bit more colorful if you want to. I mean, wellness it's a spicier division. It has that really large South American, Brazilian influence or kind of origin. So I think there's a little bit to that where you'll see some wellness athletes matching their earrings to their suits. So overall, you want clear, or you could do AB jewelry. You could do AB stones for the jewelry. I think that's also fine. You can't really tell the difference from the audience if somebody's wearing AB jewelry versus clear stones. Actually, why don't we show? Yeah, so these are like silver earrings. And you can see how there's a big variety in size. Like she's got so many styles. But let's go. So these are clear. So now let's go to the AB. So you can kind of see. So you can see the AB is kind of like an oil slick. And that's the same type of AB stones that we'd put on a suit. That's what the AB is kind of that iridescent oil slick look. But they're very reflective, just the same way clear stones are. So you're not really going to notice from the audience if someone has AB on versus clear. So you can kind of choose based on your style preferences. The main thing I would not recommend is gold jewelry, like gold backing. You could pull that off, but that tends to be more of a look we see in Europe. So don't really recommend that. You can kind of tell there's a difference there, so I don't really recommend it. Like none of the top 10 bikini Olympians are wearing gold jewelry. None of them are really wearing color jewelry. With that in mind, I did decide to wear jewelry with a pop of color last year with my red suit. So I'd seen Hope from Body by O actually do this, and that's where I got my inspo. I think the year prior she had worn a red suit with like earrings that had a little bit of red in them. And I looked at it and I was like, wow, that's so pretty. And I have this bright tricot red suit. And so I asked Jamie, I ran it by Jamie. I'm like, hey, Jamie, like, what do you think of these? And I kind of sent her some photos.
Yeah.
Because it looks cool. It looked cool on Hope, but I don't want to do anything that risky. So Jamie approved it. And overall, that look was really pretty. I loved how it came out. I got so many compliments. Yeah, with the red suit and the red look. So if we go to red, maybe I can pick out which ones they were. Like the red orange. Yeah, right there. Yeah, so they would have been, let's see. So some of these you can see are like a little too wild, perhaps. Mine looked more like a leaf or something, but yeah, maybe it's not here. Oh, you know what? It's the ER16. I think I wore the ER16 or ER3, something like that. So it was still had the silver, and you could still see that it was like a silver earring, but it definitely had that little pop of red. So super pretty. Yeah, I think it was the ER16. Looking at it, I think that's what it was. So super pretty. So if you take a calculated risk like that, maybe just run it by your coach or your posing coach. And keep in mind my hair is like this, so not super noticeable, but just for bikini, there is this sort of uniform look, and a good rule of thumb is always referring back to what do the top athletes in the world look like. So if you ever need a reference for your glam, go to the most recent year's top 10 Bikini Olympia, go look at their stage photos, look at what hairstyle they had, how their makeup looked, what jewelry they had on, and that's always a good reference for what the kind of accepted look is, because there is a certain bikini, it's a look. Like we say this a lot sometimes, we say bikini is a look, and that can refer to not just the physique but also the glam. So some of these things are kind of unspoken rules, but that's why we're here talking to you guys about it. It's like we're trying to speak what these unspoken rules are, so that way it's not confusing especially when you're new.
Yeah, 100%. And I think too, like in terms of bracelet selection, like we can kind of touch on this just pretty quick. Like I would say a shorter athlete, you're going to want a smaller bracelet. A taller athlete, you're going to want a thicker bracelet to kind of really balance out your proportions and your arm length, things like that. Nothing too over the top gaudy too much. Again, you don't want it to take away from your physique and your presentation on stage, but you want to make sure that you're choosing something complementary to your size, right? So like I said, taller athletes would wear thicker bracelets to kind of shorten the size of their arms, or a shorter athlete would wear a smaller bracelet to kind of balance out those proportions.
Yeah, for sure.
So just keeping that in mind too when selecting.
Yeah. Yep. I agree 100%. And you can also, let's say you're a taller athlete, because sometimes I'll do this instead of wearing like one super thick bracelet, is I might stack a couple thinner bracelets to make it look like I've got one thicker one on. I wore 2 super thick ones when I turned pro, and I did like how that came out. But I've had some, like Rafa, who's my roommate, who's a retired Bikini Olympian, she kind of told me it looked like cuffs. So after I met her, she got me to, so basically she recommended, so it's like I'll wear one really thick cuff that's like on one hand, and then on the other hand, I might do like one smaller one or a few smaller ones. So there's a little bit of contrast there.
Balance, yeah.
Yeah. So the bracelets don't have to match is what I'm saying too. Is like, so you can have 2 bracelets or even 2 or 3 bracelets if they're super thin and you're kind of stacking them. So they don't have to match, especially keep in mind if they're silver clear jewelry, they already match. Like they're already the same material, they're already the same look. It's just different textures and stones. So, choose something that's cohesive, but they don't have to be identical by any means.
Yeah. And then I would suggest no necklace. I don't think I've ever seen anybody wear a necklace on stage. It's going to take away from your physique. You already have the connector on the top of your suit, so there's no need to have anything else there. So I would just say earrings, ring, bracelet is kind of the standard for that.
Yeah, never any necklace, no chokers, no nothing. Like, again, none of the top 10 Olympians are wearing that stuff. Maybe in women's physique or women's bodybuilding, I feel like I've seen those athletes wear chokers, but that's a different division. We're primarily kind of talking bikini wellness, figure, especially figure. You wouldn't really want to figure in some of these other divisions. You definitely wouldn't want to wear a necklace because they are likely judging like your chest and your upper body musculature a little more. So if you're covering that, that's not a good thing.
Yeah. And I know I see a lot of girls asking about belly button rings too. I would keep that simple. If you have a belly button ring, like I just have like a little stud, like just a little ball. Sometimes I'll do like the little crystal, something super simple. I wouldn't do anything dangly because again, that's going to be on your core. It's going to be covering your abdomen.
Well, it's gonna be swinging around while you're moving. Yeah. So that's a good point too. No dangly bracelets. Like we've had athletes wear those in the past. even pros and things like that. But typically they get that advice like, hey, this is not a good choice. This is distracting. Your
Yeah.
jewelry is moving all over the place. And like the judges are trying to look at you. If you've got something on you that's distracting, it's going to take away from how they can judge you. So don't forget that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's about it for jewelry.
Tanning.
Yes.
So
Real quick.
we kind of went a little bit a roundabout with the tanning because we kind of talked about the skin prep already. We talked about the skin prep, the shave. So we can maybe just talk about some of the different like colors and how the tan can kind of come out depending on what company or what type of tanning solution you're using.
Yeah. Real quick. I just got a notification. I have a posing client at 11:30.
Okay.
But I think tanning and just like touching on bikini is still plenty of time.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a couple different, let's just do entire screen here. A couple different examples of tan. And this is just us on show day showing you guys the different companies, different shades, things like that. You want to make sure first and foremost, your tanning is required, is what I'm trying to say. You have to get a tan before you go on stage, or else the stage lighting will wash you out. You will see no muscle definition. And then there's basically nothing for the judges to judge you on. This is something that I would definitely suggest sticking with an industry standard company, going to your local tanning salon and getting just a regular tan. I don't personally think is sufficient enough because, again, there is an industry standard on the shade of competition tan. So just keeping that in mind. So this is Laura and I at Iron Games here in Southern California last year. We both used Lori with Cheat the Beach. She is, local here in SoCal, travels to most of the muscle contest shows. What I do love about her tans is that it has sparkles in it. Just very subtle glitter and sparkle. I think it looks so cute and it just adds like a little flair to it.
Yeah, I think she uses some type of blend of liquid sunrays products. And I've noticed her and liquid sunrays products in general tend to come out very dark, very brown, like more of a brown undertone, I would say, versus like a golden undertone. So those are kind of some of the main things to think about. Like you might not have Cheat the Beach where you're at, but you might have liquid sunrays or, a vendor that's using their products.
Yeah. And then that's another thing too. Sometimes the actual company themselves is at the shows, or it's a third-party company that uses the industry standard products.
Yeah, and I would say the biggest two companies are going to be Pro-Tan and Liquid Sunrays for the actual solutions. I don't know if I actually know of any others. It's really just those two, I think.
Yeah.
So do we have a couple? I think we have a couple other photos too, because Patriots, you use Tan Masters, so that's the vendor for muscle contest shows. They do the tanning, hair, makeup, etc. And I believe they also actually use Liquid Sunrays products. I think back in 2020 they switched to Liquid Sunrays, but for whatever reason, their tan I would say is not as brown or as deep as Lori's. We don't know what her secret formulation might be.
Yeah.
So your tan looked great, Sammy. Like last week,
Thanks.
the other weekend at Patriots.
Yeah, I was really happy with it. It was definitely more of like a golden undertones. And then it washed off really nice after the fact. I was like, good. I'll keep this on.
Good. Yeah. That's great.
And then I think, let's see. Here.
Yeah. So that was a Tan Masters as well. This was me at Pacific USA's in 2022. So this one is Tan Masters as well. That one came out really, really nice.
It looks really good.
It was so hot that day though. We were basically sweating, so I had to wash it off and then get a new spray for finals. That was the area was like over 90 degrees, so it was a lot that day.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite looks.
Yeah. And then
yeah, Tahoe.
You did self-tan, right? With Pro-Tan?
Yeah, so I did the Pro-Tan DIY. I think in hindsight, I think I felt like I had to do Pro-Tan DIY when I was doing all my shows last year, just because like Fit Body Fusion, that's such a thing with them. So it's like weird. It's like I felt this like I had to, but I definitely didn't have to. I think I should have thought it through a little more. So luckily for this show, I had Casey Rodriguez, who's a master's bikini pro, helping me. And she did a great job because I actually did the worst job shaving. I nicked the crap out of my arm, my stomach. I used a razor that was like too new, and I was just going, I think, a little too fast with my shave. So she really saved me, like really, really saved me. So it came out beautiful. It was a little deeper than it looks here. I think the lighting is just very, very bright in this shot, but it came out beautiful. I really loved that color. With the Pro Tan DIY though, I tried to do it at a couple other shows last year and it did not work out the best. I think the main thing is you really need someone with you to help you. I don't think I am skilled enough to be doing my Pro Tan DIY myself. I know there are some athletes that can do that. I am not one of them. So if I have a dedicated person with me, I would definitely do it again. If I don't, if I'm more solo at a show or I don't have like a go-to person who can absolutely do it no matter what, I would not do it. Like I kind of had people that were supposed to help at some shows and that didn't pan out. And then I was very nervous, very concerned about the tan. So it looked great, but yeah, I think you do need that helper to do it for you.
And two, like, and I really considered this because I had this run of shows back to back. Think too, the cost of the product to the cost of using a tanning company, right? The cost of what you're paying in product, the stress you're going to, the stress and the time it's going to take you to apply the tan yourself. If you're not familiar with it, are you doing a practice run before, which is going to require even more product? So it's like weighing the cost of like, all right, if I do it myself, is this really saving me money? Or is just using the tanning company that's there going to be beneficial? And, I feel like they kind of are the same.
Yeah.
And, less, mitigating that. And then for Texas Pro, I used Pro Tan specifically. So again, a nice golden color. I think this tan came out really well as well. Super even, that golden bronze kind of tone.
Yeah, really pretty. Really, really pretty. So I know we're basically at time, so we'll save some more suit talk for the next episode. We'll make sure to link the past episodes about suits for you guys so you're not left hanging there. So as always, thank you guys for watching us. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not already on YouTube, like the video on any major audio platform, rate, review, give us 5 stars. And obviously, no matter where you're listening, make sure to share with a friend so the podcast can grow. We will catch you guys in the next episode.